So to make a contact sheet, what we're going to do is take our negatives, put them on top of a piece of photographic paper, right? Shiny side up. On our base, our enlarger, we're going to take a piece of glass, smoosh the negatives onto the paper, and then expose it. But I don't know what the exposure time is yet. To figure out our exposure time, I don't want to waste a whole piece of paper and find out that it's getting something totally dark or totally light. I'm going to use a small piece of paper. I'm going to just tear a strip off and make a test on it. And thus, we're going to call it a test strip. And test strips are something that you're going to be doing over and over again. So get used to this idea. I'm going to take, I don't know, maybe a quarter of my paper, a fifth of my paper. Why am I doing this? To save paper. I'm going to take a tear. There is a paper cutter in the corner. If you're happier using that than tearing, that's fine. Also, a good way to tear paper is to just hold it along the edge of a counter like this, right? And just give it a, okay, that's a nice clean edge, right? Okay, so my remaining paper I'm going to put back in my box. I want to save that for more test strips. That's paper that I'm saving. That's every little piece of scrap that I could use to save a piece of paper is a piece of paper saved. Okay, so I'm going to use this small strip as my piece of paper. It's a piece of paper, it's just a very narrow one. I'm going to put my negatives on top of my paper. Is that on the video? Because people do it backwards. We don't put it like this because what's going to happen if you shine light on it? Yeah, it's going to turn black, exactly. There's nothing blocking the light. We're using the negatives as a, as a radiogram material. Remember, we're casting shadows with it. Okay, so, and then to hold them flat, we take a piece of glass and put it on top. If you don't have a piece of glass, the negatives are going to curl and buckle like this. And it'll be out of focus, it'll be blurry. Okay. So that's why we do these different things. I am taking my paper and aligning it with the bottom row on the negatives there. And I'm taking my piece of glass and I'm putting it on top. And now I'm taking a piece of cardboard. I'm going to use the back of my box. This is fine to use. And I'm going to block the majority of the paper. In fact, I'm just going to expose 1/2 of one strip. Can everybody see? If you're doing this, I may want to step around. That's a little thick. I'm just exposing 1/2 of one strip for the first shot. And why will be evident in a second. Once we start our test strip, we're not going to change our aperture. We're not going to raise or lower our enlarger head, because that will change the amount of light striking our paper over any given moment of time. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. Time, 5 seconds, right? And then expose it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just that 1/2 of a strip of negatives that was exposed for that 5 seconds. Now I'm going to move my box so that I'm exposing the half, right, halfway through the next row, right? Halfway through the next row. I'm now exposing for 5 seconds again. And I'm turning my timer off, moving my box to the middle of the next row, 5 seconds. It's just repeating this over and over and over. 5 seconds, turn it off, move the box. Dial in 5 seconds, 5 seconds. The only reason why this is a pain is because this timer that we use here makes us sort of think about it at all. When good darkroom timers remember the last time that you used and they just hit a button and it turns on for this, sort of a repeat. And then you just sort of move your cardboard over and over and just pop. What are you going to do? This is easier than the metronome system and just turning a switch on and off. And then, honestly, we should have the correct exposure somewhere in here. Let me show you how many different exposure times are on this sheet in just a second. So after that last half, I covered, I now removed the box, exposed the whole thing, and if you count the number of steps that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each was 5 seconds, which means that that first half is now a 40-second exposure. Then this section is 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, and then 5. And hopefully somewhere in there we'll have a good exposure. If we don't, then we change our aperture. Okay? So let's put in the developer and see how it comes out. So you can see already that something's appearing, right? And if you look, this edge is light, right? This edge right here is sticking out the developer. But that edge is dark. And there's steps from one end to the other. Can everybody see that already? Well, that's what you want to see. Like if you look at your paper and it's totally white or totally black, you messed up. Anything else, if anything's showing up, great. Somewhere in there will be a good exposure. We can't judge in the darkroom though. So what we're going to do is process it through, squeegee it off, and look and judge on the squeegee board. That's where you judge your test strips. And people, throughout the semester, you're going to be walking in and out of the darkroom over and over and over to look at test strips. That's what darkroom printing is, basically. Making test strips and judging them. Right?
Yeah.
And if you make a good test strip, if you judge well, it makes your life so easy and saves so much paper. If you need to make a second test strip, do it. Otherwise, you're going to waste 2 or 3 sheets of paper trying to figure out the right exposure time. Excuse me. Okay, developer, stop. Don't tap, don't shake, you'll splatter. Chemicals on somebody's nice clothing, which you shouldn't be wearing anyway. Okay, so remember you swish your tongs when you're in the sink so that you don't contaminate baths with your tongs. And now, normally, right, with a print that we care about not deteriorating over the next couple months, we're going to wash it and wash it for a while. But with a test strip, it can deteriorate after the day. It's fine by me. So I'm just going to like rinse it off in the first bath, toss it into the second one, walk around and retrieve it, and then take it outside. That's my wash technique for test strips. I don't want to waste a lot of time on waiting for it to wash, okay? So let's grab this test strip, come on out, and we'll take a look at this on the squeegee board. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so now I'm just moving some of these other drying contact sheets to the side. When we look at this right here, I'm going to squeegee it. Can everybody see that there's stripes? If you can't see, you'll come up and look at it as we go in. The first strip is quite light. Way too light. I can't really see anything in it. The second one looks okay. The third one looks pretty darn good. The fourth one looks pretty darn good. The fifth and sixth and seventh start to look darker and darker to me. So I'm going to go with somewhere around 20 seconds. I could be 18, I could be 22, 20, somewhere in that range for this is correct by my judgment. Sort of looking right here. It looks like nice grays, you know. It's not too light in the lights, not too lost in the shadows. Okay, let's go back in. We're going to expose it for 20 seconds. That's what we've decided now. We came out, we analyzed our test strip, and feel free to come and look at it. It's going to be on the squeegee board.
Are you still recording?
Yeah, thanks. We're back to you now. So come on back into the dark room, everybody. It's easier just doing one long tape, because then I don't have to like edit and
Yeah.
upload multiple things. Just plug it into the back of the computer right here
Oh, you do it.
and send it between classes. So people can watch it right after class. Okay, on your way home, it'll be up on YouTube. People can just review that easily on the bus. Everybody squeeze in. Can you just squeeze in a little bit over here? There's people stuck around you. So, what do? We take our contact sheet. Remember, what you want when you're loading your negatives in your contact sheet is to have the numbers on the bottom of each row sequential and legible. You don't want your negatives flipped over this way and that way. It's just easier to find your images later and look at them too. So, you take that, you're looking at your negatives so that you can read the numbers, sort of shiny side up, if you will. You can't really see the shiny side because it's in the plastic, but that's the side that's up. The paper, shiny side up. And now, I'm just going to take my paper, put it right there. I'm going to take my paper, double check that it's shiny side up, double check this is shiny side up. Yeah, good. And I'm going to align it. Now, aligning the negative onto the sheet of negatives onto the paper can be a little curmudgeon, if you will, or smidgen. What's the word I'm thinking of? I don't know. You gotta be a little nitsy.
Contagious.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, the problem is, the 10 inches here is really like just into the sprockets of each edge. You see that? Like I have it perfectly set. Mm-hmm. If I'm off by like 1/8 of an inch, I'm gonna be losing, some of the top row of negatives or the bottom. So you really want to get it set and then pinch it together. Pinch it together. I'm holding this together, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm holding it together. I'm holding it together. I'm putting it down. I like to put my glass on it and hold it with my glass. Put my hand on it, hold it with my hand. Put my fingers out and just sort of, do you see a slide right there? You got to be really careful when you put down the glass. Because the glass will shift it by a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch sometimes. Watch out. So I'm pretty good. I'm going to turn this timer off and dial in 20 seconds.
But you saw the best one out there is 20 seconds.
Turn it, exactly. Because we looked at the test strip and 20 seconds was the correct time for this. I'm going to expose it for 20 seconds. Any questions?
No.
First one's your test strip, and this is the
This is the contact sheet.
This is the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so bring it over for development. And once again, you might think it looks a little dark in here, you might think it looks a little light in here. Don't be harsh with yourself about how your contact sheet looks. If you see anything, then it's worth bringing through and looking at. If this showed up totally white or totally black, yeah, that's junk paper at this point. But anything that has images on it, you want to process and look at. No reason to toss stuff you don't have to. This came out okay. This came out pretty good. You can tell from a contact sheet how consistent your camera's exposure is. Do you have a lot of really light ones and really dark ones? You'll see that on your negatives too, but especially in your contact sheet. This happened to be a pretty consistently exposed roll of film that I shot in 2004. Okay. So we're just going to process this, and then what you do with your contact sheet is the following. You take your loop, and you look at each frame, and whenever you find a frame that you like, mark it with a marker, a China marker, or a crayon, or a paint marker. You'll find that ink does not show up very well on photographic paper. If you take a pen, like a regular pen or a regular pencil, you won't be able to see your mark easily. You want to be able to have your eye drawn to marks on your contact sheet. Don't leave your contact sheets pristine. If you're choosing between two images, and I'm telling you to shoot like 3 frames of anything you decide to take a picture of, right, or 4, and let's say that they look kind of the same with your naked eye, but you're looking at them with your loop, and you can tell that one, you like the expression on somebody's face more, or one they're blinking. You want to cross out that one that they're blinking if you don't like it. So you don't have to even make that decision again. Save yourself time later. You want your contact sheets to be marked up and directing your attention to the ones that you want to print, so that when you come in here and you got to make prints, you can easily look at your contact sheets and say, oh, I want to print 6, 17, and 32 or whatever. Yeah, start a good question.
Is that why that's what's the Chinese
Yeah,
markers
the China
for?
markers.
China markers for?
Exactly.
To mark it up?
Exactly. Mark it up. And honestly, the contact sheet is your notepad. It's your sort of sketchbook. It's where you figure out what you're doing in a way. And that's, this is something that you have to make on each roll of film. This is something that you're going to submit at the end of the semester. You're going to make 10 of these this semester. Let's go ahead and look at this outside, and then you guys can do it. Anything under 20 is good. So you can see here that there's the tonal similarity between 20 seconds and the whole contact sheet, right? So that's it. Any questions? Ready to do this? Okay, great.